I'm Chu-En from National Taiwan University, and she is Shuo-wen from National Jiao-Tong University, Taiwan. We are great to be here to present our work, Masque, exploring lateral skin stretch feedback on face with head-mounted display. Head-mounted displays has been proven effective in providing users with immersive visual and audio experience in virtual reality. To further enrich the immersive experience, numerous researchers have worked on haptic feedback on HMD. Like haptic head used by tactile actuator distributed in 3 concentric ellipses around the head for intuitive haptic guidance through moving tactile cues. And haptopus is embedded with tactile displays on HMD facial interface through suction. Also, face push delivers continuous normal pressure onto face to simulate water pressure, or continual pressure like boxing game. Some will apply the peltier element on HMD, giving heat or cold on face. However, skin stretch as haptic feedback on face still remains to be explored. When normal pressure is applied on skin through tactor, there will be friction when tactor moves. And skin underneath moves along with the tactor because of friction, creating skin deformation, therefore causing skin stretch feedback. Skin stretch can provide different levels of stimuli through stretching distance and also give different notifications through different stretching direction. When the shear force is applied to the skin, it causes lateral skin deformation and creates skin stretch feedback. Such feedback is often used for enhancing the experience of virtual object interaction or directional guidance. Graphic graver proposed using finger-worn belts for skin stretches. When one grabs a virtual object, skin stretch feedback that is applied to grasp fingers will simulate the weight and inertia of the object. Meanwhile, the research on the right showed that through different skin displacement, users would perceive different stiffness. In this work, we propose Masque, integrating an array of 6 skin stretch modules on HTC Vive Pro to produce skin stretch feedback on human face. We used Masque to conduct 2 genetic studies regarding stretching distance and angle. Also, according to the study results, we created 3 applications to demonstrate the capability of Masque. The module shear detectors would press on facial skin. Actuating the tactors causes lateral skin stretch, which delivers rich haptic information to the user. To generate skin stretch in different intensity and direction on human face through HMD, we create a prototype that is able to perform 2 degrees of freedom skin stretch, and every shear tactor can be freely actuated without colliding with any others. In order to perform 2 degrees of freedom movement, we need 2 gear motors with synchronic wheels to actuate X and Y direction respectively. The shear tactor for dragging skin is concave plate with 30 mm in diameter, and is covered with 3 mm thick silicone pad to ensure the comfort of users. Also, we use 3D printing to build a housing for motors and the base to perfectly fit HMD. In the Informal Exploratory study, we explore the user's preference, which is related to the acceptance of physical comfort when using the tactor. We use convex, flat, and concave in 10, 20, 30 mm in diameter, long-shell respectively to conduct the study. We let participants use the tactor to stretch their facial skin without limiting in location and direction of stretching distance. Then we let the participants respond with preference rating from 1 to 7 using continuous scale. The result shows that the scores for the concave shaped tactors with larger size are significantly rated higher than the other 2. This is interesting, as previous works usually adopt flat or convex shapes for the shear tactor on fingertips. Participants report that the concave shape can better contact facial skin during movement and cause more clear perception of skin stretches. They also report that larger size tactors result in larger contact area, which can create more easily perceived skin stretch feedback. To reduce the imbalance caused by module, we create two ways to balance the whole device. One is ceiling grounded. We use two ceiling grounded pulleys to hang the bag of lead on the other side. Another is body grounded. The lead is added on the back side of HMD to balance the device. The shear tactors of Masque cover the facial skin surrounding the eyes and nose. Therefore, we also conduct a study on evaluating physical comfort of Masque. We investigated what is the maximal stretching distance within 15 millimeters that is considered physically acceptable by participants. Participants aged from 20 to 27 use a control panel for the detectors in virtual reality. And participants can manipulate it with a mouse and keyboard to report the maximal acceptable distance for each vector in 4 fundamental directions. The results show that within the 15 millimeter maximal stretching distance, the average of acceptable stretching distance is 14.85 millimeters. 2 participants report maximal distance shorter than 14 millimeters. They reported that when stretching upward too much, my fragile cheeks were squeezed, which slightly interfered with my breathing. Their feedback informs us that future prototypes should also consider the visual anatomy of individuals. Considering that facial anatomy might affect sensation, we also conducted 2 genetic studies on stretching distance and angle with Masque. It can help us design skin stretch patterns used in VR applications. One up-to-down staircase method is applied in both of the studies. We assume that the skin sensitive on the symmetrical sample points are similar. There are 3 locations with 2 stretching direction factorial design. And 12 participants were recruited, and the study are run under random order. We place pressure sensors below each detector and ask the participant to adjust the tightness of HMD until they feel the HMD was highly stable yet comfortable to wear. The average value is approximately 2.5 newtons. On the left is how Masque works in distance genetic study. The right is the interface that participants see in VR. We provide 3 stimuli, then we ask participants to select the one that is different from the other 2. This result suggests that the change in stretch distance must be at least 24.6% higher or lower than the current stretch distance to enable people to perceive a difference. And multiple levels of stretch feedback can be created by Masque. Also, we did another study regarding discrimination threshold for stretching angle. The average discrimination threshold of stretching angles across all conditions is 22.69 degrees, and the highest genetic value is 42 degrees. The result suggests that participants could at least differentiate a skin stretch direction on their face. And next, Shuo-Wen will introduce demo application and the result of Masque.
Hi, I'm Shuo-Wen Chu, and I will present the rest of our work. According to previous researches that have proven skin stretch is effective in simulating certain stimuli, along with the data we get from the studies, we built 3 applications to demonstrate Masque. They are motorcycle racing, Snowball Fight, and museum guidance. In the motorcycle racing, Masque can simulate weight, shake, inertia, and normal force from helmet on user's face. All tactors are actuated downward to simulate the heaviness of the helmet. Also, the user receives constant up and down skin stretches on bumpy roads, simulating the shakes from the helmet. In response to the direction of the drift, tactors stretch in the opposite direction, which creates a sensation where the helmet is pulled upon by inertia force. When the user passes through an acceleration board on the racetrack, tactors stretch outward from the eyes, simulating a constant wind pressure on the face. In Snowball Fight, Masque simulates graze and freezing on face. If the user barely avoids the attack, tactor generates a short-term skin stretch to the eye corners, simulating the sensation of a graze from a snowball. If the user's eye gets hit, all tactors constantly stretch inward, creating a restriction regarding opening the eye. For museum guidance, Masque provides directional information through different stretching direction. We created skin stretch profiles for to the left, to the right, moving forward, and looking up. The user can select a desired artifact and move toward the location of the artifact by following the directional cues by Masque. A simple algorithm was implemented for finding the shortest path from the user's current position to the target. Masque generates skin stretch profiles according to the directions of that path and the distance between the user and the destination. To ensure that the skin stretch feedback generated by Masque is a valuable haptic addition to HMDs, we conducted a user evaluation study for the applications. This study is designed to measure the user's subjective feedback on Masque in comparison to use without haptic feedback. Participants completed a questionnaire asking for agreement ratings on their feelings in regard to realism and enjoyment for each skin stretch profiles, using a continuous 7-point Likert scale. For example, in Snowball Fight, the participants were asked how realistic when your face hit by the snow, and how enjoyable the stimulus is in the fight. For the motorcycle racing game, the results indicate that all of the skin stretch profiles received significantly higher scores than no haptic condition. 3 participants reported that it's like wearing an actual helmet. However, there were also 2 participants who gave lower scores to their inertia and shake profile, as they thought the force illusion is less realistic if there is no haptic feedback on the human body as well. For the Snowball Fight game, the freezing profile received marginally significant higher scores, and the graze profile received significantly higher scores. Half of the participants rated higher scores for the freezing profile, as they considered that the profiles can simulate the interference field from the snow. However, the other half of the participants reported the freezing profile is less realistic, as our system should provide thermal and vibration feedback after being attacked. 3 participants also reported that the freezing and the graze profiles shocked me and made me tense, and therefore I became more aggressive and more competitive in this game. Since the stretching profile in museum guidance is directional information, realism is not rated in this part. And without haptic feedback, participants need to look at the location of artifacts on a mini-map nearby that display the position of the user and the path to the target destination. Although all of the participants could distinguish the directions well and arrive at destinations without the help of visual clues, they also felt that the mini-map should not be removed in the haptic condition. 4 participants suggested that long-term skin stretches made them feel annoyed. On the other hand, other participants considered that the skin stretches helped them to pay attention to the virtual environment instead of the minimap, making them feel more immersed during the guidance. In this paper, we investigated skin stretch on distance and angle. For future work, we will take more factors into consideration. For example, stretch facial skin during body movement to check if discrimination threshold will be affected. In addition, current prototype can only perform linear skin stretch, and we will further investigate the impact from different skin displacement, such as twisting skin. And several works have done researches in combining multiple haptic feedback. In the future, we will study on skin stretch combining with other output. There are also other works regarding force perception model in weight or stiffness on hand, and therefore we will investigate force perception model on human face. And since human feature varies across individuals and is not completely symmetric, we hope the hardware can be customized or adjustable so as to fit individuals. And Masque currently works under power supply. However, wireless VR wearables are the trend. So we want to make Masque powered by battery in the future. And the contribution of this work is the concept of creating lateral skin displacement by physically stretching the contact skin, and the results of user studies that investigate the capabilities of skin stretch. The implementation of Masque, a proof of concept prototype, and a set of applications that demonstrate the concept. And finally, the results of a preliminary user evaluation on this new haptic HMD prototype. We also shared our 3D model on GitHub, so feel free to scan the QR code for the 3D models. And thanks for listening. We're happy to take your questions.
Thanks very much. We have time for a question. Did you have to do anything in terms of the prototype to manage sweat on the face, especially the forehead?
Sweat. Would you please say it again? Sorry.
Did you need to adjust for how easy it was to adhere to people's skin, such as if they were sweating?
Well, during the study, we didn't observe that circumstances. So maybe we'll improve that in the future. But during the study, we didn't observe that circumstances. Yes.
Did you saw with the bike example, did adding haptics according to acceleration, does it helps with reducing motion sickness?
Illusion?
Motion sickness.
Motion sickness. No, a little bit. Well, because their body move with the direction they toward. So during the study, they didn't report that there's motion sickness. Not even in the motorcycle racing.
Okay, thank you. Let's thank our speakers again.